Hey y'all, welcome to Open Mind Integration. I'm Christopher Gunlock, and today I'm going to be talking about food processing and nutrient density. So focusing on these two things alone can actually be enough for a lot of people to recover from a lot of common chronic illnesses. And the reason for this is because our common food supply right now, it leans heavily towards the end of what we'd call ultra processing. And this is where your nutrient density gets so low that it can cause some major deficits in some things that are critical to hormone function, basic organ function, basically all of your body systems that require nutrients to keep going. So I'm going to cover a little bit about the spectrum of food processing first to give you an idea of what this means for you. So minimal processing is what we would consider home cooking or raw foods, fruits and vegetables that have either, come straight off the vine, so to speak, or, just gone through a few steps of cooking, basic cooking before it actually gets into your mouth. And this is really ideal because you're getting a nice balance of enough processing to where it's in a form that your body can easily digest it, but not so much that you're losing nutrient density. And this is really the key here, is the more processing food goes through, the lower the nutrient density gets. It's essentially destroying the food constituents the more processing you put into it. Now, again, this is a balance, right? Some amount of processing is necessary for certain foods, right? You wouldn't want to eat a raw potato, for example, right? You want to put it through some kind of process, heat or some sort of chemical reaction to put it into a form that your body easily digests. So processing is not a bad thing. It's just we need to be aware of where on the spectrum of processing we're at. So if we move a little further down the spectrum, you look at what kinds of foods that some restaurants make, some fast food restaurants, or even a lot of the things that you find in your grocery store. These are foods that are further removed from their original sources, right? They're put through more forms of processing where it's not so recognizable what the food was originally. They're turned into syrups and powders and sweeteners and flavors and foods in this form. You're losing a lot from what the food originally was. And even worse, as a result of this, food manufacturers have to add extra ingredients to make up for what was lost, except those ingredients are also heavily processed, so they're not in forms that your body is going to as easily turn into helpful forms of energy. Also, food like this that's been heavily processed is more prone to spoiling. And so you have to also add preservatives. And this further removes the food from what its original form was, which is not ideal. Another way you can identify these foods is by looking at the ingredients list, right? Because again, food that is heavily processed has to have a lot of added stuff to it. So if the ingredients list is a paragraph and it's got a bunch of weird words in it that are hard to pronounce, this is something that is not close to the original form of the food it really was. And so this is food that has a lot of added ingredients, to give it longer shelf life, to give it extra flavor, to give it extra color, a lot of unnecessary things that further remove it from its original form. And so this is going to lower that nutrient density. This is going to leave you with more deficits. But it is going to give you calories. And so what you end up with these higher forms of processing is high calories, low nutrient density. And this is really dangerous because you're going to end up binging on food more often. You're going to end up eating more of just one kind of food. You're going to end up with insulin resistance, hyperinsulinemia, hyperglycemia, and these types of situations have a cascading effect on the rest of your health that can be very dangerous, especially over the long period. So do your best to try to eat as much home cooking as you can, eat as much fresh fruit and raw vegetables as you can. When you go out to restaurants, try to avoid some of the more kind of saucy foods, things with a lot of extra sweeteners in them. So really, food processing, if you can learn one thing about food, it really should be this, because just focusing as much as you can on minimal processed food alone can give you a massive boost in how many nutrients you're getting into your diet, and thus how good your nutrition is. So enjoy your home cooking as much as you can, and try to shop in the produce aisle as much as you possibly can.